Kia ora, hey, it's Mark in the dark with the shaky camera. That sounds like Cluedo, doesn't it? Captain Peacock with the lead piping in the cellar. Captain Peacock was from Are You Being Served? This video's gone off course already. Hello. So this is Earley's late reviews. So it's the second one I've done. So the caveat for this is I am neurodiverse. I am very bad at taking in information. My memory's awful. I miss loads of shit as well. Often miss the obvious. I don't remember plots. So what we always say for this series is if I've got something wrong or you've got something to add, or if you can fill in on any gaps, fantastic, let's have a discussion. Add stuff in the comments below, but don't be rude, because people are, unfortunately, for some reason. I've talked about that in other videos actually, so I do have some ideas about why people are rude, but there's no place for rudeness on my channel. Okay, so what I want to talk about is Falling Skies, which I only discovered by accident the other day. I signed up for something called TVDBCC, which is a funny kind of thing really. It was free, which made it brilliantly, and it's got lots of TV. It's got about thousands apparently of TV series. So I kind of found this one just through scrolling through, looking at science fiction series. So I think it's gone to quite a few series now. I'm not sure whether they're still making it or not. So I'm going to talk about the first series, Falling Skies, the first series. And I'm not sure when this was made. So Steven Spielberg has a hand in this. I love it. I think he's fantastic. I did look at some other reviews. I couldn't really find much sort of in the way of kind of detailed review, but there was a kind of summary, and it said the one word that stuck out was derivative, and it's certainly derivative. So what I want to do is kind of is dwell for a moment on all the things that I think have gone into the mix with this series, because it's very Walking Dead. What I like about it, I think it's better than The Walking Dead, because The Walking Dead, the pace is quite slow sometimes on The Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead is, it does feel like there's a bit too much walking in The Walking Dead. It's like, it feels like they walk, they walk up to the top of the hill and then they walk back down to the bottom of the hill, and then they kind of, go somewhere else, and then so it kind of feels like they're constantly just kind of walking back and forth, really. I love The Walking Dead. And don't tell me anything about The Walking, because I'm only up to, probably series 3 of The Walking Dead, I think. So I do like The Walking Dead. But I think this is like The Walking Dead, but better. This is the kind of pace that maybe The Walking Dead should have. I think the pace is just kind of perfect. The characterization is brilliant as well. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, because we're talking about the derivative side of things, and where stuff comes from. So I think there's a bit of War of the Worlds in there, which kind of Spielberg probably brings. There's that big kind of I'm not sure if it's a tripod, but there's a big thing on legs, which it doesn't move around, but it's kind of like there's a kind of War of the Worlds-y feel to it, I think. And interesting that I watched the another War of the Worlds adaptation, which was not the new one that's out at the moment, but another one. I might kind of see if I can track it down and do a proper review on it, which is a two-parter. I think it was a BBC one, and this was kind of similar, but I think this came after. So can't kind of say that influenced it, but I love the I love the skitters in this thing, and of course Alien. So it's a great game, isn't it? See if you can add some more, things that influence this. So Alien, Walking Dead, War of the Worlds, probably various different versions of War of the Worlds, or going right back to the novel. What else? I thought of some other things that were in this. So yeah, definitely Alien. And it's all gone out of my head now. If I think of some more, I'll put them in the comments below. Brilliant characterization. I love the characters. Particularly, I like Weaver. He's supposed to be this kind of obnoxious character, but he isn't really. I mean, I really like him. Obviously, I think he softens as time goes on, and you get more of his backstory, and you get more of a sympathetic take on him. He's just supposed to be this big arsehole, but I liked him from the start. I think really, he's very pragmatic. He's the kind of person I would want in charge, because he knows his stuff. He knows what works, and generally speaking, makes very good decisions. Harris, the doctor in this, That was kind of weird because there's an interesting character and there's a bit of a backstory, and I thought maybe Harris had had an affair with the lead character whose name's already gone out of my brain. I thought maybe he'd had an affair with his wife, and then Harris just suddenly dies. So he's this real arsehole, obnoxious consultant, which consultants often are, although recently I've had some dealings with some lovely ones. So yeah, kind of interesting. His eyes were too close together, weren't they? You could tell there was something not good about him. But he died too soon, I think. Where were they going with that character? Derivation, yes, X-Files, because we don't quite know. You know, there's the I hate that phrase, the truth is out there, because it's meaningless. But there's a kind of a mystery, isn't there? There's like kind of, you know, we think we know what the aliens look like, and then we realise that they're not the kind of the primary, they're not the drivers, they're not the real aliens, and we meet these other aliens who are kind of quite, you know, kind of, what's the word I would use? Not real aliens, but, you know, kind of, they're more like the kind of aliens that that people believe are real. And I thought very well done. I don't know, derivative stuff. I think a little bit like, do you remember Tripods? I loved that series, and it fizzled out. They ran out of money or interest, and I think they made 2 series and then stopped. But Tripods, when you get into the, you know, behind the aliens, and then there's another load of aliens behind those aliens. So yeah, Tripods, War of the Worlds, X-Files, Walking Dead, V. Interesting they call these aliens lizards. To me, they don't look at all lizard-like, you know, but they call them lizards. So it's kind of a nod towards V, which I did a review on V, so check that one out if you want to. I won't just do science fiction stuff, by the way, but it's just that I've watched some science fiction stuff recently. I always say I always kind of deny that I'm into science fiction. If people say you're into science fiction, I say, not really. But I do find myself watching an awful lot of science fiction. But I don't see myself, you know, it's funny, and it's kind of one of those sort of self-image things, really. I don't know why. I should just admit it to myself, really. I guess I like monsters, really. I like anything with monsters in it, really, and science fiction has monsters. So, yeah, so this is all over the place, but just kind of go with me here. So, the comparison to The Walking Dead, there's a boy in it that looks just like Carl from The Walking Dead. And in fact, I thought it was the same actor for a while, but it wasn't. So it starts with this Carl. So, yeah, very Walking Dead-y. So I like the way, so don't, by the way, if you give comments, don't give me any spoilers, because I've only watched series 1, so don't tell me what happens in the next series. So there's this thing about, you know, it seems pretty apparent that there's, you know, enough clues that the harnesses that they put on the kids, and they can put them on adults as well, turn people into the skitters. It's a kind of genetic thing that alters their DNA or whatever. And we don't know at the moment whether if you take the harness off, that process still happens, and there's kind of hints that it does, because there's the hardening skin around the little spines that are left. So I quite like that, the idea that they're mutating humans into these kind of skitters. Although the question would be kind of why. It makes me think of a Doctor Who episode. I think it's Daleks in Manhattan, where the Daleks are kind of mutating people with pigs to kind of create, you know, kind of warriors, you know, foot soldiers. Really, it seemed a little bit kind of unnecessary. I don't know why they needed to mutate them with pigs. So maybe, I don't know, it's a bit unnecessary. But I love their skin. I love the way they were sleeping, hanging upside down under the on the underpass. That's brilliant. The character of Pope I love. Is this kind of naughty polymath that knows all about kind of fine cuisine and knows all about explosives and stuff like that. A great character. Looked like we were going to lose him, and then he came back. I thought, oh no, what a waste of a character. But he was straight back. I like Howl and the dynamic, you know, the parental dynamic that's going on. So I think it's a cracking series. It's kind of, it's military, it's tactical, it's kind of exciting, it's fast paced. I think the pace is just right. And I do like these kind of quasi-dystopian resistance things. You know, you've got, well, it's not really about the dystopian part, is it? It's about the fact that you've got this asymmetrical warfare going on. You've got this far, superior kind of technology, but you've got kind of people that are still fighting that. I like the history professor stuff, where the character's name still escapes me, keeps quoting from different periods of history and stuff like that. I like that. I think that's really cool. So I think it's a brilliant series. Why haven't I? Why did I stumble upon that by accident? Why didn't I hear about that before? I thought it was great. So what else? So we talked about things that seem to have inspired or influenced it. So what did we get to? We got to. So I mentioned Doctor Who. I don't really see any Doctor Who in there. That was just a comparison, really. But yeah, definitely Alien and Predator, I guess, just in terms of how things look. Walking Dead. I might talk about The Walking Dead as well, actually. I might do an Early's late review on that, because it's been a long time. It's suitably late. What else? So War of the Worlds. X-Files. Oh, Close Encounters. I thought there was again, that's Spielberg, isn't it? I thought there was a kind of bit of a kind of Close Encounters-y kind of feel there. So any criticisms? So not many. No, not many criticisms. I think kind of the airships, as they call them, the alien, flying craft. There was some scenes in the beginning where they kind of drop a bomb, and then it's like a kind of nuclear blast, but it's kind of this blue light. I thought that was very good. And then there's this wind that comes off it. But then there was a scene, I think it might have been the last episode, where they drop, where one of these airships, so-called airships, drops one of its little bombs. And it is a little bomb. It kind of seems to blow up a car, and everyone just ducks behind a hedge, and they're okay. I like, I preferred the lethality of how it was portrayed in the first thing. That it was this, this big bomb that would just blow stuff up and be like a kind of a nuke, and cover quite a wide radius. Big killing zone. Very, very powerful thing. Not just something that would just kind of knock out a car and set off a few alarms and make the dogs bark. So I thought that I didn't like that so much. Also, what I don't kind of get really is how they got this superior, technology, and they've got flying, aircraft. Flying aircraft. They've got aircraft, the airships, and yet the resistance fighters seem to be able to move around en masse quite often without attracting any attention. And then there was this thing where there were some flares, weren't there? And everyone said, "Oh, the flares will attract the airship, and they'll bomb us," because they seem to notice heat. But there were times, when they have fires out in the open, and you think, well, yeah, they're gonna spot that straight away. I like the bit where there were, there were traitors that were selling off, basically kind of giving children to the aliens. I thought that was good, and that had a resonance of child trafficking and child abuse in there, which I think. So I think science fiction. One of the things that science fiction does really well. Not that I'm into science fiction. Is that often there are parodies and parallels and metaphors and how many other words for the same thing can I come up with? Analogies to serious issues. Often. For example, I talked in another video about how the War of the Worlds is very much analogous of colonisation. We did a video on that, so watch that video. So want to watch another video? That's about science fiction, but not that I'm into science fiction particularly. So yeah, I think my only criticism, you could say it's a bit mawkish, but I didn't mind. I kind of felt that was okay. He was a kind of a dad trying to protect his kids, and it was kind of some real stuff about relationships. What it's like to be a father in the real world. Kind of there's some truths and some things about normal life that are kind of reflected in there, which I think was good. Yeah, Harris dying so soon. I mean, I don't know, maybe he was such an obnoxious character, and maybe he just had the purpose of being the one that's worked out how to get their harnesses off. So maybe he was expendable and you didn't need him anymore. Maybe he was too obnoxious. If you have characters that you can't relate to. But I would have liked to have seen that little plot line kind of developed a little bit more. Because I think maybe the lead character, whose name I forget, maybe there was something, I suspect there was something else going on with that relationship with his wife that maybe wasn't so good. Some kind of darker sides to that, really, which I would like to have seen explored. Maybe they'll resurface, but it'd be difficult for them to resurface without Harris being there. So I'm sure I've forgotten loads of important stuff that I was going to say. Excuse me. But I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I say, if I think of anything else, I'll stick it in the comments box. Tell me, share your ideas and your thoughts politely about this series. And remember, don't tell me anything about the past series 1 because I haven't watched past that, and I hate spoilers, absolutely hate them, so please don't. I don't even like the little trailers that I always stop it short before those. So I hope you enjoyed that. Rambling, but we kind of got there, didn't we? I think I'm gonna do Dexter next. Not science fiction, not monsters in the the literal sense, but the dark passenger and the monster within. So that's one of the things that I've got in mind to talk about. I love Dexter. I think that's probably the best TV drama I've ever watched. I think maybe we'll do House of Cards. I think I've been watching retrospectively, because I'm always retrospective. I don't think I ever watch anything at the time. It just takes me a long time to catch up on things. I'm always behind. House of Cards, as I'm watching it at the moment, this is the American version, seems to have lost its way, really, and doesn't seem to have a consistent plot. It feels a bit like they just make it up as they're going along. But maybe we'll talk some more about that anyway. So I've already done a review about the H.G. Wells thing. That's not a review. That's a kind of video where I'm just exploring certain aspects of colonisation and the effects of colonisation, and just drawing that link between H.G. Wells and colonisation. So I will leave it there and say Rangimarie.